Thank you, everybody, for coming to the BPMN in Action Meet and Greet. We're really excited about this week because it's our second face-to-face event in many years. And really excited, and hopefully it's going to be a great week for everybody. I am Nancy Kukowski. I'm relatively new to OMG. I head up the marketing programs across all the OMG communities. So I'm really excited to be here and meeting a lot of you and attending the sessions. I'm feeling really not very smart, but I'm getting educated, so that's a good thing. I just wanted to highlight a few things for the week because we've got a lot of really good things going on. Today we have the NASA JPL session, and tonight obviously we have the meet and greet. So I think a lot of you will find this very informational based on talking to some of you before the meeting. And later this week, tomorrow, today through the 23rd, we've got the BPM Plus workshop. And on the 22nd, starting tomorrow, is the Business Architecture Innovation Summit. I'm sorry, I have to use a cheat sheet. I don't know all these summit names. And then on the 23rd, there's the Unified Architecture Framework Summit. So I'm sure most of you are familiar with all of those. But we have a good week planned, and we're hoping that you can make as many sessions as possible. So now I'm going to hand it over to Denis Gagné, which everybody knows, CEO and CTO of Trisotech, who chairs the BPM Model Interchange Working Group. And he'll be leading the demonstration this evening. We're the host of other partners. So welcome.
Thank you. So we're going to go through a demonstration, a capability demonstration of BPMN interchange between different vendors. So this year, we've done these kind of demos over the years. This year, we're doing something a little bit different, where we're going to have multiple scenarios that we're working around. So let me get into it right away. So the participant vendors for this particular demonstration today includes Aris Software, the BOC Group, Camunda, Cardinate, No Process, OmniTracker, Signavio, Trisotech, ViaD, Case Agile, and MID. All will participate in different part of this demo. So the whole idea here is to interchange models and not pictures. So go beyond the visual diagram, go beyond the pictures, and actually exchange model that has full information and meta information in there through the standardized file format of BPMN. So this working group is actually a working group that regroups all the different vendors that want to participate. It's a free participation for anybody to join, and all the vendors work at improving that interchange. Anybody that is a software vendor that's interested in joining, just drop me an email or contact OMG about participating, and we'd love to have you on board with us. So the basic core demonstration that we will do tonight is going to be done via Dropbox. So basically each tool will create a portion of the model or do something, put it in the Dropbox. The next tool will pick it up from the Dropbox, do modification, and put it back into the Dropbox. So we're using this file interchange. We have to use Dropbox because I didn't count the number of countries, but I think we have at least 6 or 7 countries participating. So we have to do that. So the scenario is based on 3 parts this year. So the first part is going to be just the capability of opening the same model, different vendors opening the same model. The second part will be about coloring a BPMN diagram. The BPMN in color is an extension that was developed by the BPMN MyWig to the BPMN standard. So it's kind of a industry de facto standard that the vendors are using. We're then going to do internationalization. So having the model being presented in different languages. The good thing is we have people from all the different languages represented in there. And the part 4 will be all about actual automation and execution that we will demo. So let's jump right into the first part of the demo. Each person will actually introduce themselves and the tools they're using and explain a little bit of what they're doing as we go through. So the first the first tool to get involved is Signavio. So Philip, if you want to take over the screen, it's yours.
Sure. Hello, everyone. Nice to meet you, or at least for you to see me, because I don't see anyone else. I'm calling in from Germany, Potsdam, to be precise, today, for SAP Signavio, as we're called now, and just quickly showing you how to import this BPMN file that was previously already modeled in TriZetech into the SAP Signavio Process Manager. And this will just take a quick second. There we go. And yeah, as Dini already said, right, we're exchanging models, not pictures, so we can actually open this thing in our editor and start rearranging things. Add information if necessary, as you're going to see. Adding titles, adding translations, colors, these kind of things. In the interest of time, that's it from my side today. I'm handing over to Cardinate.
Thank you very much. I'm Dario Campagna from Italy, and I'm representing today Cardanit, the BPM solution from Esteco. What you are seeing now is the home of Cardanit, and from here we can import the BPMN model I just downloaded from the Dropbox folder. As soon as the import procedure completes, the BPMN model is automatically open in the Cardanit BPMN editor. And once the BPMN model is loaded, it is possible to explore it, look at the attributes of the different elements and edit all of them. And as you might see, we are applying some colors to the BPMN elements, and these are the colors that Cardanit uses by default to display different types of BPMN elements. It's all from my side, and I'll leave the stage to OmniTracker.
Yeah. Thanks. I'm Marian. I'm currently located in the north of Bavaria, also in Germany. And here you can see the OmniTracker. And I'm also already ready to import the file from the Dropbox. So I just need to open it. And now you can see it within OmniTracker, all the elements. We are able to edit it, also automate it, and we can also export it as well. And that's all from my side, and Case Agile will take over.
Thank you. Speaking Boris Zinchenko from Case Agile. So we will open this file in freeware of BPMN. So we found a file in Dropbox, clicked on it, and it opened. So we can scale it. Thank you.
Okay. So this was part one, where basically you saw Signavio, Cardanit, OmniTracker, and Case Agile open all the same single file. So for the second part, we're going to involve TriZetech, No Process, Aris, Camunda, VAD, BOC, and MID into progressively coloring the diagram. So each tool will do a part and pass it to the next tool, to the next tool, and the next tool. So Simon, do you want to start from the TriZetech side?
Absolutely. So hi, everyone. My name is Simon. I'm joining today from Montreal, Quebec, Canada. So a little bit north, where we still have a lot more snow than in Reston. So I've opened the vacation request model, and we're going to start coloring it. So the first step is in the TriZetech workflow modeler. I'm going to select all of the sequence flow and make them orange. Now I have it pretty cute and orange, I'm going to start the data exchange by exporting this into our Dropbox, or Tim from No Process that will take over this model with the orange link and continue to color it. Tim, all yours.
Thank you, Simon. So over here, we too have a node process modeler. So if I look in box for today and part 2, then I see Simon's model there. It looks like the time is about right. And I see the orange sequence flows that he was just telling you about. So my task is to set the gateways a color, which we're going to do like so. And then I just need to download it and put it into the folder, hopefully getting the right one. I was supposed to tell you I am in the UK, so there you go.
We guessed that part.
In the middle. Yeah, okay. No, I can put the Aussie accent on if you like.
We guessed it from the light in the back of your office.
Okay, over to Frank. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Frank. I'm located in Germany, in Saarbrücken. I'm working for Software AG, and I show you our BPMN capabilities in our tool for process management, ARIS. At first, I have to download the file from the Dropbox. Then after this, I import the model created here from Tim from No Process. And then I open it after the import. And here we can see already the orange lines from Simon and the green gateways from Tim. And now I'm coloring the data objects. To do this, I at first select them all and coloring with a yellow color. I save my changes and then I export it again. And then I uploaded it to the Dropbox. Is export from site, and now I hand over to Camunda, to the next part.
David, you're muted. David, I don't know if you can hear us, but you're muted.
Sorry about that. Start over. I'm David Simmons. I'm from Camunda, and I'm going to add a few other color elements. So, oh, looks like it got put in the wrong place in the Dropbox, but I'll just drag it and drop it into our modeling tool, and you can see that all the color elements are there. So Camunda Modeler, and I'm going to change the start element to green, if I can find that. It's gone. Well, our coloring seems to have disappeared on us.
Well, just save it
So-
like that, David, and we'll go on from here. Thank you.
Okay. And I believe ViaD is next.
That's right. Thanks, David. So, hi, I'm Chris from VID, as David has just said, and I'm joining today from Bonn in Germany, where it's kind of dark outside. And our BPMN modeling tool works in Confluence. So this is where I am, our company's Confluence instance. And I'll enter our editor right now, import the file that David has just provided. Let's see. Or I'll just download the one that Frank's provided. I guess it doesn't make that much of a difference now. And you see all the colored sequences and data elements. And my job today is to color in the end events. And I thought it might be a good idea to color in the happy path ones in green. So all the ones where the vacation request has been approved. So let's do that. And color them in, let's say, green. And you can't see that, can you? There you go, it's green. And for all the elements where the vacation request was refused, either by a manager or for some reason the employee was not found, let's go ahead and color these elements in red. And then we have our colored in end elements for this process. I'll now export this file as an XML according to the BPMN 2.0 standard and save it to the Dropbox. Let's see. There, part 2. Name looks about right. Save it, and over to you, Zbigniew.
Thank you very much. My name is Zbigniew. I'm joining from Warsaw, Poland, and here you can see our tool Adonis provided by BOC Group. So this is where you can see the original colors, but obviously we won't be using original colors. We want to use the BPMN color. So I select BPMN DI import. I select the proper file, so it should be the one provided by Chris. And while we are doing the import, I'll copy some nice color. So it will be light blue. I think it is called Alice blue. And let's name it somehow. And what I want to do now is to color the happy path with this Alice blue. So I can go and add these colors. As you can see, I can either put the colors itself, or if I want to, I can also add a hexadecimal code. I already have a preview of how the color will look like. So this is a pretty nice way to see what kind of results will I get. And here, as you can see, our process flows in the following way. So when somebody asks for holiday leave, it can be automatically refused, automatically accepted, or the happy path where I am is that it goes to the manager of this person. And here we are working on the happy part of this element. So we hope that the manager will accept the holiday request. And the last element where I'm currently is that when manager accepted, obviously the person is informed and we need to update remaining vacation days to make sure everything is fine. Now we can see all the colors look nice. And now let me move a little bit my Teams window. And here I'll select BPMN DI export. By the way, while I'm exporting, you can see that I also had different option for coloring, but this would be using colors for doing heat mapping. So this is not something that is as a part of this demonstration. So I'll pick the one and name it part 6. So 6. And I'll add Adonis at the very end. Okay. Thank you very much.
So it's my turn to take over. Hello, everybody. This is Björn speaking from Germany also. In my part of Germany, which is near Nuremberg, it's very dark outside, and we will have a look at how BPMN, our BPM solution, will handle those leftover elements which are not colored yet. So what I will do is I just create a new draft, open the modeler, and I will import the BPMN file, which is right here. Yes. And as you can see, we picked up all the blue elements, and what's left for me is to color in those tasks, and I will simply select them here and put light green on them. And since Camunda couldn't color those elements here, I will give them a slightly blue tint for them as well. So every element in this diagram is colored as we expected. And afterwards, I will save this BPMN file again in the Dropbox. But I've made a mistake. I should have picked a save as. Yeah. Second, and I will choose the right path. And now over to you, Denis.
Okay, so naturally what you saw is not all that exciting because that's what everybody expect, that you're able to create something and it looks the same everywhere. But what you probably notice is that every tool has its own way of doing things, but we're all achieving the same goal, although each tool has the freedom of creating its own interface, its own way of doing things, what we call quote unquote tool smart within our jargon. But the standard is used, the standard file format is also used. So now we'll go on and move to part 3. In part 3, we're now going to translate the model, the actual language. This is a vacation request, and we'll see how different tools tackle different aspects of the translation. So we'll start with Frank with Aris to show us how they tackle the internationalization of the model.
Hello, here's Frank again, speaking for Software AG and presenting IRIS, or tool for software process management. I have already imported on our last file from the color demo where we all see all colors again, and now I start to localize it. At first, I pick up a task. Here in the property window, we see this name. It's the English name, but we see that in German we do not have a German variant for this task name. But I enter now a German translation for this task.
You have to trust that this is the correct German translation if you're like me.
Yes, I do this also for a second task. We see the German translation in the property window, but currently in the diagram we see the English text, but I can switch the language which we use for the diagram drawing. I switch also here to German. So, and now we see also here in the diagram here the German text which I have entered, and for the other elements where we don't have at the moment no German translation, the English text is shown as a kind of fallback, and it's indicated this is EN. So I save this diagram again and export it. And now I upload it then to the Dropbox. Photo part 3. So it's uploaded in the Dropbox, and I hand over to Adonis for the next steps.
Thank you very much, Frank. It's BPMN again, and you will see in a second how I'm adding additional German translations in our tool. So let me start by importing the file that Frank just uploaded. And what we're going to do is we'll be showing different way of translation. So Frank showed you how you can do the manual translation. In a second, you will see very nice way of automated translations. So I won't be showing our normal way of doing this via translation wizard where you could use the machine translation, but instead I will show you pretty powerful way of using the tabular editor. So I could send my file to translation office and get translations to some different language. So I will switch the table view, pick elements where I want to have translations, and let me select the proper attributes. So I want to have English and German names. Here you can see the names that Frank added. And now let me copy others. I want to avoid making some typos. Let's assume that this is something I get from the translation office. I paste it, and I have it. And now let me do two things. First of all, I'll export the file so that it will be available in the Dropbox. So here I'm doing BPMN export. And in the meantime, after it saves, I'll show you that it changed. And when I switch to German, I will see the German translation. So I save the file. As I told you, what I could use would be to use the translation wizard, but instead I picked this option. And now let me switch name. Maybe let's save it first. Let me switch language to German. And in a second, I should see my diagram. And as you can see, everywhere I have nice German task names. So thank you very much. Simon, floor is yours.
Absolutely, thank you. So Simon again from Trizatech. Even though I look like I'm in the same office as Denis, I'm still in Canada. So while Zbigniew was doing the last part of his demo, I was able to retrieve the file from Dropbox. So we can see that I have the German translation. I will need to trust all of them again. There are still a few missing, we can see here. So we're going to show how we can use an external API to translate them. So I'm just going to load that here and translate everything without a translation from German. And I'm also going to add a few more language. So Spanish, provide the automatic translation, as well as French, which I will be able to vouch for. And add all of those. So in the end over here, we have a model that is in English, in German, in Spanish, and in French. And I'm going to export this into our Dropbox again and pass it on to David from Camunda, who's going to show that they can see those different languages in their tool.
Thank you. And I promise this time it's going to work. So I'm still David. I'm still in North Carolina in the US. And so I'm just going to grab that latest model that was so nicely translated and drag it in. And you'll see that now my modeler has noticed that there are other translations. And so I have this little menu down here and I can switch to German and everything that was translated to German shows up. And I can see the Spanish and I can also see the French translations. And finally, I can go back to English and see it in English. So once the translations are there, we can see them here and then switch between languages. So that's it from me.
Thank you, David. So once again, much as you've seen, you can open the file part 3, hopefully. And we should see that there's, so maybe make it a little bigger. So we can see some nice English language, but we can also see another button here, which allows me to switch between the different languages. We also have a little command line application, which is sort of useful for the overnight publication type of activity, which we will allow us to document, i.e. create pictures of all of the models just in one go here, if I can remember what the model's called. Okay, so we have got, we want to take the third one with all the languages in, really, don't we? Obviously scripting this so that I don't make the silly mistakes in front of the camera. So if we look at all of the different things in there now, we've got a bunch of extra stuff. If I have a look in the slightly more sane option, then you can see that we have images published of the different languages. And on to the next piece. Sorry, I've forgotten who's next. There's one more show.
I'm sorry. That would be me, MID again.
I beg your pardon, MID.
No problem. So last time I presented, I showed BPMN, which is also capable of showing the different languages, but we offer another tool called MED Innovator, which is a more powerful solution regarding modeling capabilities. And what I will show now is just import the BPMN file, just import it into the Dropbox. And once I open that import is finished, you will see a nice English speaking diagram. You can see all the colors are also present here. If I zoom in here, I will switch to German, for example, French, and last but not least to Spanish. And as you can see, all the translations are still there, and you can go through them. That's all from my side. Yeah, over to Case Agile. Am I right? The last one on the list.
Hello, thank you. Speaking Boris Zinchenko for Case Agile. We will show our free open source solution BPMN viewer. So we find this file in Dropbox and click on it, and it opens in BPMN viewer. And here we can zoom. Yeah, this is model in English, so we can see other languages here, also German, Spanish, and French. So we select, for example, German. So we can zoom again, and we can see all elements appearing in German. Then we can select Spanish and again zoom to see better. Yes, so everything is in Spanish. And finally, we select French and again zoom to see that everything is in French. So we can see model in all languages presented in this model. Thank you very much.
Denis, you're muted on the stream.
Thank you. So you saw three different things. At first, we just opened the same model, then started coloring the model iteratively. Now we were adding language, and you saw different tool smart and different ways of translating the models. What's important is all that information gets accumulated in the single model. So it's not like there's now 10 different models. It's one single model that has all the information that's being accumulated. So for the next part, we're going to show how we're also adding DMN into the mix. So the BPMN model that was doing the vacation request includes a decision that is made using DMN. And now we're going to show how we can actually automate this model. So we have 4 different vendors that will actually execute that model with their own extension all added within the same model. So again, a single file that everybody is executing from. Now, the caveat to this is on the execution front, each tool have their own particularities and how they do things, but they can still all execute from a single file. That means that they cannot necessarily be interchanged purely one version that is executed everywhere, but one version can include all the execution requirement from each of the tool, and that's what we're going to demo, starting with Trisotech. So Simon, it's yours.
All right, so I don't know about showing a quick look at the BPMN model. So yes, we're seeing XML. It's going to be quick. So this is the common file that all vendors will use for the automation. We can see at the top here, there's a Camunda extension for the user task. Here, there's some no process extensions. Over there, there are some BOC group, Adonis extensions. So this is a single BPMN file that we will showcase being executed on different engines. So I'm starting on the Trisotech modeling. You can see that it is the same model, but without the colors and the internationalization. We didn't have them in there, but that could also be added to that model. It would just be more information in it. So the first thing I want to show is how we invoke that DMN model. So the decision model is here at the beginning of the process where we try to automatically approve or refuse the vacation request. So if we look quickly at that DMN model, it has 3 inputs: form, from, to, and days remaining, and it's going to return to us a vacation approval status. So without going into a lot of the details, in the Trisotech modeling environment, we use some data mapping to pass variables from the process context to the decision. So I'm going to show that here under the data mapping. We use FEEL, which is the standard language for writing expression from BMN to achieve that. So we're mapping the days remaining, the from and the to from the process variables. And we do the same thing for the outputs. We extract the vacation approval and the reason from the decision. Also, this process contacts an HR system through OData here at the beginning to fetch the current vacation information for that employee. So if we look at that, it interfaces with an HR system for an operation that's called Find Vacation. At Trisatec, we use OpenAPI to define that. So if I go under the details here, I know I'm going to do a get on vacation, and I have different attributes that I can use in the OData world, like filter, order by, top, etc. That I am going to map in a similar way to DMN. Here, I'm going to say that I want to match my employee ID to be equal to the employee badge number. Once I've done this mapping from my process variable to the different outside services, I can simply deploy without one click my service library. So if I push Cloud Publish here, I can deploy to my WIG this process. So it ends up in my service library, from where I can get a form automatically generated or directly have a full REST API to interact with that process. I'm going to showcase quickly how the form looks like. So if I start the form here, I have an employee number 1, who's going to be requesting vacation from tomorrow to Wednesday. And I'm going to submit this vacation request. And it's going to be automatically refused because my DMN model prevents that, because the vacation request needs to be done at least 1 week prior to the start date. So let me then try that again. And I'm going to do a vacation request for next week from the 29th to, let's say, March 1st. And I'm going to submit this. This going over 2 days will tell me, and this is basically not enforcing the performers in the model because we wanted to demo this, but that the employee Aaron Smith wants to do from this date to this date. And he has 13 days in his bank, so I can simply approve that, submit, and he's going to be approved. All of those are being sent through emails. So there's also email communication that happens there, that we can see over here, that we are sending some emails to the different participants inside of that process. So that would be all for me. I think we move on to Kemundo after me, right?
That is correct. And so
Thank you.
Going to go ahead. I'm still in the same place and I'm still the same person. So it's important to note here that we're actually using our cloud SaaS product instead of the our other hosted platform. So this is our console, and we can see that we have various tools available and that everything's healthy. So we're going to go ahead and go over to, this will be our modeling, and I'm going to grab that same model and I'll drag it into our tool here, and you'll see that it imported. And it's important to note here that this is not just a picture representation. This is actually the executable model, and any changes that happen to this over the course of the execution will show up in the model. So now that we have that running, we're going to go ahead and deploy that diagram, and you'll see we're going to deploy it to a healthy cluster here. So we'll deploy that diagram. Did we get the wrong file? We may have gotten the wrong file. We did get the wrong file. So we'll go back to here. Let's delete that. And let's bring in actually the correct file. We'll drag that into the tool. There we go. Here's the correct model that we're going to use. So we'll deploy that. You'll see that it deployed without errors, and it tells us that the diagram is deployed. And so now we can go ahead and actually execute that instance, and we're just going to add some data so that we have the vacation request from the 5th to the 13th, and we'll start that instance, and you'll see that we got some feedback that it started. So we can go and we can actually look at that instance as it's running. And here we can see the path that has taken highlighted, and looks like we need to manually approve that, probably because they had 13 days remaining and they requested 13 days, and that's a little too close. So now we can go over to our task list, and we'll see that we have this task to manually approve the vacation, and I'll claim that. So it's claimed by me, and we can see that they've got 13 days of vacation remaining. So I'm going to go ahead and approve that. And I'll give a reason, and then I can complete that task. And that task is now completed. But if I go back over to our operate instance, you'll see that that token just moved all the way along to finished, and you can see that it took the path that it took along the way, so that I can go here again in the model and I can see where my token went along the way. And again, that's because we're seeing the model actually as executable and not just as a picture. And I can even go and look, and I can see where we spent the most amount of our time on our model. And that's actually executing. One other thing that I can do is I can look at the properties of our DMN and see that it's a DMN table, and what the outputs are. And the outputs are a reason and a vacation approval, and we can see that we executed that as well. And now I will hand it back over to somebody. Will have to remind me who I'm handing it back
To
over.
Tim.
Great.
Thank you. Thank you, David. Okay, we have seen several modelers, and now we're seeing some execution engines. What we have here, what should we do? What we have here is a view into our runtime. You can see that we have one of the applications deployed is this one for the MyWig demo tonight. We've got a number of artifacts in here, and amongst them we will see our old friend, the vacation request. And I just wanted to highlight to you that we've got here, it's probably not a great way of doing it. We need an employee badge number, and we need a from date and a to date to make this request. So those are the three data inputs that we want to capture. So in the runtime environment, which I have over here, I'm logged in as Anya. We've connected this stuff up to a CRM system. So here in the CRM, we see Anya. If I just show all of the staff, here's Anya. She has some vacation, so if we need to pull that in. And if I just pop back to the modeler for a minute, I can show you that one of the things that we have here is as a REST task. So if I click on that, we see it's a service task. If I click on the extra details, we see that one of the things that we are doing in this process is to actually request of the CRM the employee record for Anya. So let's go ahead and do that. And here we are. I'm going to log in. I'm going to choose Anya from the list, and I'm going to choose to have some vacation at the end of the month. So we're over that 1 week limit that Simon told us about. Just a 1 day off, a long weekend. Click start, and it's all done. Magic. So let's have a little look and see what happened in our admin console. We should see in here, and we do. It is now 20 past 10. We need to get a move on. So there is the record of what happened. And down here somewhere we should see, hopefully, that the thing was approved. And if I go into the email, we might even see, if I'm very lucky, that the email's been delivered. There we go. So at the end of the month, Anya is going to have a day off, and it has been approved. There you go. Over to Marion, I think.
Or Zbigniew.
Or Zbigniew. Thank you.
I think if it would be Marion, it would be much more interesting, but I also try to show something nice. So here you can see Adonis with automation extensions. So we have Adonis process automation. You can see our process diagram, and it contains some extensions. So for example, where I have send task, you can see that I can have definition of what kind of email will be sent, what will be content of this one. In places where I need some additional information, where I need some forms, I can predefine some attributes, upload some forms that will pop up. But I think the coolest thing is that here I'll be using the REST service from Trizotech to actually figure out who should get the vacation and who should not get. So here you can see that I'm calling the REST the decision service provided as a REST API by Trizotech. And here I have all the details. The password is much longer, so it is safe, don't worry. And now I want to run it. So I click Automate, Start Process, and my Adonis process automation starts, and the holiday is for Messi. Yeah. So let me pick something from here to perhaps here. And now let's assume that our colleague would like to start this process instance. Now you can see that we are going on a happy path. So manual validation is required. I can see that this is 6 days and it could work, but it is a decision from the manager of Lionel. So let's assume that I'm the manager. And I say, sure thing. Enjoy your holiday. And I click Save and Complete. And you can see that this is how it went. This is the happy path that I colored 2 demo parts ago. So this is everything from my side. Thank you very much. Denis, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Zbigniew. So this was part 4 about DMN invocation, service invocation, and the actual automation of the model. So hopefully we've shown you tonight that BPMN is alive and thriving in different vendors from different parts of the world, where not only are we able to exchange the model, we're able to augment the model in different facets, whether it's color or internationalization, and we're also able to execute these models. That's the benefit of standard. So that's the benefit of the actual model of the standard, the file format of the standard, and the benefit of all these vendors participating and contributing to these standards. So there's a lot of value in using standard. We're promoting BPMN here tonight, but OMG has, I think it's 186, is it the number of standards that are being promoted? So there's quite a lot of different standards where you can adhere. We also invite you to go check the results. So the BPMN MyWig also has a full test suite where we provide to different vendors. They can go and test their own tools. They can do their own validation and make sure that they adhere to the standard correctly. And we also help all the different vendors within the MyWig. So again, for tonight, let me thank you on behalf of everybody that participated. We had 11 different companies participating, and then some company had a couple of tools involved. So probably about 14 different tools involved. And plus, we have to thank our friends from Europe, where it's very light now, and they're doing extra hours. We were trying to decide before the meeting who's the latest right now, and I think it's Boris that's winning that it's the latest where he is. So thank you very much for coming here. We're happy to answer some questions now. So if you have any questions, I'll make sure to bring back the full panel of people, and you can ask questions to either specific vendors or generic question to the team as you like. Thank you. Any question from the group here?
What's next?
We've been working a lot on the breadth of the diagram. So BPMN is a very large standard. So we've done all the breadth pretty much by now. So now we're starting to look into the depth of the meta model, the meta tagging that comes in. And today was kind of a showcase of our beginning of that. So we're going to go deeper and deeper into the specific meta information that can be put into the models. But we'll continue to add more to our testing facility, basically. Any other question? Yes, Lloyd.
Two questions. First, is there any intention to create a kind of standard color-coded palette, like red means under stress, kind of on the heat, the motif of a heat map kind of thing? Is there any intention to go in that direction? That's the first question.
The answer is no. So BPMN, as it was originally defined, was colorless intentionally because colors have different semantic in different places, just like characters and all kinds of different things. So BPMN is colorless as a standard. Although here the vendor, we all work to create this colorful exchange because a lot of the customer end users want to have their colored diagrams show the same everywhere, but not necessarily expect any semantic to carry with that. So there won't be any semantic assignment, but you are able now within the set of vendors to have your same coloring that you've done being present in all the different tools.
So vendors in this, maybe everybody else in the MyWay group, this is all being done through the extension mechanism, right? For BPMN?
If you're talking about the coloring, yes. So the coloring is a set of agreed upon de facto extension within the BPMN.
Everybody has to be in on the.
Exactly. It becomes a de facto standard for all the vendors. Yeah. On the extensions.
Denis, I have a question from the virtual audience.
Okay, please go ahead.
With internationalization, do the tools also support things like dates and currency format, etc.?
So maybe we can go around. Zbigniew, do you want to take this one?
I would say that for internationalization, there are many aspects of making your models international. So what we focused on in BPMN internationalization, we were focusing on how to make the translations to different languages be present in the BPMN file. So we did not focus on other aspects like currencies, dates, whatever. We wanted to make sure that all the translations can be fit within the BPMN XML file and in such a way that, as you could see, different tools can open them and show. Because the cool thing is that normally lots of enterprise BPA tools support some kind of translation wizards. You could see several of them. But the cool thing that we focused on was to make sure that we do it in such a way that we can exchange those translations between tools. So this was the focus of BPMN internationalization. I hope I answered your question.
Simon, any other question in the chat?
No? So there was one, I answered it on the chat, but will we develop extension artifacts to cover commonly used representation, for example, information system risk and controls?
David, do you want to take that one?
Well, I can repeat Simon's answer that there's, as far as I know, there's no current plan for doing that. Unless somebody has other information that there is a plan to do that.
There is, so in fact, there is no standardization effort to capture these kinds of notion like risk and controls, but just about every vendor have in part of their platform, of their solution, notions of risk and control. So that's part of there. So, and there are also standardization effort outside of BPMN to standardize those notions. So there's already different standard that exists for capturing risks and control. And so, but within BPMN right now, there's no standardization effort. Any other questions? So you all believe the magic? Wonderful. That was the intent.
There was no magic.
There was no magic? Oh, I know it's not working tonight. So thank you very much for attending. We hope you enjoyed this demo of capabilities. If you're a software vendor interested in this, come and participate with us. We want to have as many vendors as possible. The broader the set of vendors, the better it is for the market in general. Thank you.
Have a great evening, everyone.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you.